This was never designed to be, let's drop in on the most horrific days of everybody's medical career. It was supposed to be if you stopped by this hospital on a Tuesday, this is what it would look like, or this 4th of July. Uh, in some ways, we did ourselves a bit of a disservice by having that mass casualty event be the last third of our season, because it probably did set an expectation that we're going to be centering around a major event every year. But hopefully, you'll find those first 6 episodes just as engaging without them needing an external catalyst to make them exciting, and just the characters and the cases are engaging enough. We're getting a lot of response from families of people that are in the medical community who finally feel that they have context for what their family members do for a living that explains a lot of their behavior, but also engenders a lot more compassion and empathy for what it is that people do in these environments that sometimes they have a hard time talking about when they come home. It's also kind of tapping into the same thing that ER used to do, where a doctor could say to a patient, do you watch The Pitt? Okay, well, on The Pitt last week, do you remember that case? Okay, well, what you're going through is somewhat similar to that. And conversely, it's a little bit of exposure therapy for the general population to get a good glimpse of what they could expect to see if they go to the hospital. Waiting times and the reason for those waiting times, the terminology, the procedures, the type of staff that you'll encounter, all of it, from what I've been told from people who've gone to the hospital since seeing The Pitt, has increased their degree of sensitivity to the people who work there and their sense of giving them a sense of context.
And I think that our writers and our doctors on our writing staff feel a responsibility to share accurate medical information that might be incredibly rare to find, so that it can educate the masses as well. Like we were told that Dr. Joe, one of the head writers, who is a real doctor, got a letter from a doctor in Hawaii saying that there was a measles outbreak. And the only reason he knew it was measles was because he watched The Pitt. Because the measles isn't even taught in med school anymore because of the assumption that everyone is vaccinated. And so to have something like that, like another information sector for medical professionals and laymen alike, is awesome.
Like, yes, it's something that I think our show is really trying to address.
I mean, they were writing it while all the new cuts came out. And so they went, oh, we have to include this.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were, which is cool that they are able to kind of adjust. I think they had an idea of something, and with the announcement of all the cuts to healthcare, they were like, okay, we're plugging this story in. Here we go. Because, whenever people will like talk about how the show is political, it's like it's not, it's doctory.
Yeah. And I think
this is how they all feel.
Yeah. And I think for Samira, she's such a great patient advocate. And I think up until 6, you see her trying to solve this. Like, you see her trying to go like, okay, what about this issue? What about that issue? What about, like, what if, and I think it also shows like how overwhelmed doctors also are with insurance. Like, it's so frustrating to have to like think about money when you're trying to help your patient.
Yes. Pretty much the entirety of my time on The Pitt has been praying for a job and hoping I don't get fired. And so like whenever we left season 1 where we did with Langdon getting fired, I think I was sweating pretty hard. And it was a real weight off whenever I remember John Wells calling. I was in New York walking up the street in the rain, and he called and told me that I was getting picked up for season 2. And it was a real weight off because we didn't know which way it was going to go.
Yeah, I think for me too, I thought, well, damn, it took me, I wanted to work with John Wells my whole career. It took me this long to get here, and then I have that ending. I'm like, really? Please don't get rid of me now. And a little bit the same thing. He called me, and I have a family that I needed to move out from Atlanta. And so we needed to buy a house because the crazy rents in LA, particularly post-fire. And when he called me, I was like, oh, good Lord. I said, please don't fire me. I just bought a house. So, wow. Yeah, I don't think either of us knew.